All right, everyone, this is a real video of our only washer and dryer for our family of five with three young girls. And we have used it for right at 1 year now. So I want to give a realistic review. This is not sponsored in any way. We bought this with our own money and no one contacted me to make this video, but I saw that it's also on sale right now around this July timeframe again. So I figured it'd be good to make a video and then make you aware of what we've learned after 1 year. There are a couple key things that I have done or I found that can really affect the machine. One of them I would say will probably degrade the lifespan of it. The other one could potentially destroy your house or your floor if you don't pay attention to it. And then I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of this all-in-one unit versus two separate washer and dryers that most Americans are used to. So that's right, this machine does all the washing and all the drying. You put the clothes in, you hit play, it washes them, and then once it's done washing, it automatically flips over and does the drying in the same place, and then it beeps at you and tell you that it's done. So I'm gonna go through some of the pros and cons I found with it, and I'll also talk about if my wife is actually happy with the machine or not, as well as my thoughts on if I'm happy with it. So to start with, the reason why we went to it just to begin with was really because of me. I'm an engineer, and so I kind of get geeked out a little bit about some of this stuff. And it also has Wi-Fi built into a smart home. So I tied into my smart home. In fact, I'll show you a little trick I do with it in a little bit. We wanted to redo our laundry room here. Now it's not a huge room, but it is at least a room. It's not a closet. So I do have some space to put cabinetry and stuff. So I'll show you a picture of how it was before. But basically the washer and dryer was side by side here. And then this could not be cabinet space because you had to have access to walk over here and get access to the second machine. So just off camera behind the door is the laundry sink and some other cupboards that go to the corner there. And that's what we had before. And so I was able to add all of these drawers here and this Lazy Susan all to this mix, as well as some more upper cabinets here. So we were able to add a lot of storage. And what we did is we basically converted this laundry room into a laundry slash mudroom. You can see some of the kid stuff here. We got all these shoes and stuff down here in these drawers. So anyways, that's why we chose it. It was actually a packaging space. But there are some other big benefits to this machine, and that is that it does not require any venting. So it does not have an exhaust vent at all. All the air is self-contained in the machine. It recirculates it. And it only takes 110 outlets. So that means just a standard 110 plugs all that's needed to power the machine. It's a heat pump machine. So you also get some energy efficiency credits. I know from my area in Michigan here with consumers, gas and power, I think at $125 rebate on top of the purchase price. I was able to deduct that with a rebate from consumers. But then it takes hot and cold water. So you need hot and cold water, the water drain, and 110. And so we're actually talking about putting another one of these perhaps upstairs in the master closet because it is so easy to place somewhere that you just have power and water. So the things that are really great about it is that it is all standalone, and it has, which isn't really unique to this machine necessarily. I think a lot of the newer machines have it, but it has a large storage for your liquid detergent and softener, and then it automatically dispenses that. So you can basically pour like a whole jug into one of these for the softener and the detergent, and then it meters it out even based off what it detects, how big the load it is. So that's pretty cool. The other thing about it is that it is much gentler on the clothes than a standard washer dryer, and it's because it doesn't have as high of a heat for the drying cycle, and therefore it's much gentler on the clothes, and also you get a lot less lint. So your clothes actually are going to last longer with this type of machine because they're not worn down as much and they don't have that exposure to high heat. And also more delicate items can be washed in here and dried in here because it's basically a low or a medium to low heat setting, even on the quote unquote high. So one of the big questions is, does it actually wash and dry in 2 hours? And the answer is yes, it does. So in all of our testing, our life really of washing clothes, it does do that. Now, oftentimes the wife will put it on even a quick cycle, and the quick cycle is about an hour and 37 minutes is what it says here to wash and dry the clothes. So that's combined total. And there are some nuances to it. So let's talk about kind of the bad. The first one is one of the ones I found almost right away. First week or two, when I was really watching the machine very closely to see how is it doing. It was newer technology. This one came out last year in 2023, so we're actually like one of the earlier adopters. So this right here is the lint trap. So you can pull this out here, and it slides. It has a little press button that slides out, and then this is what collects all of your lint. So that's collected here, and this is several cycles. So you get way less lint than you would. You don't have this whole thing caked up after one load that you would typically have with a standard dryer. But you do clean this out after every few loads. And on the back side, it has a extra foam filter as well. That one gets cleaned out way less often. But what you'll see here is what happens is the air gets pulled out from the machine, and it comes up and around here, and then it goes through this lint filter, and then this top half of the top of the unit, behind this display here, is the condenser unit that is actually like basically a dehumidifier that's taking the moisture out of the air when it's drying and then sending it down the drain. So in there is a lot of fins. It's basically like a radiator, or the front of your car, a condenser for your AC in your car, and that is what can clog up. And so that's really probably the weak point of these machines, in my opinion, is that cannot get clogged up. So that's where it's very important that this lint gets cleaned out, and it has good trapping of the lint to keep it from getting into those fins, because once it's in those fins, you really can't clean it. I'll show you a picture of just how tight it is. And after a year of use, I do have a little bit of lint that is collected and stuck in some of those places. But really, probably half of that was in the first week when I noticed this. And that's when I took some measures here. And that measure that I took was actually adding an extra foam seal. So this white piece of tape is actually a foam seal you buy for like your house, like window sealing or whatever. And I think it's a 1/4 inch by 3/8 or something like that. I'll put a link in the video description if you're interested in it. And I just stuck that around two sides of the machine, because I saw that when this slid in, it didn't seal all the way against the back wall. And I didn't like how tight it sealed on the top either. So adding this in actually allowed it to stop all the lint that I was worried about. And that's probably the biggest design flaw I've seen with the machine. Once we did that, I saw way less lint get past this filter. But without that in there, this thing can wiggle and move, and I really was not happy with that. So that's a change that I would recommend everyone do if you get this machine. Put it on. We've had this on for a year, and it's a double-sided tape. I left the top side tape on. I did not take it off, so it's not sticky, and that has not worn out or really degraded after a year. So I was expecting to maybe have to replace it every once in a while. All right, so to operate it's pretty easy. You press the power button, and then typically it has, like, I think there's some settings in there, but you can have a default that it goes to. This one is a regular cycle. It shows you right about 2 hours, and so that will change depending on a couple of your settings that you do. I did find I changed the setting for the spin to high instead of medium or normal. That helps just extract a little bit more water out of them, which helps. But it shows you just over 2 hours here for a cycle. Like I said, adjust that a little bit based off the size of the load. Then you hit play, and it's good to go for your standard. That's how we normally operate it. But if you want to do a quick cycle or specific whites or bulky, it says it can feel like a full King Comforter and stuff in there. You might want to pick one of those other options as well. Self-cleaning and extra dry, time dry, delay, all that kind of stuff is in there. And that's pretty easy to use. All right, so inside the machine itself, it is what I would call a normal size for America, and it's a large washer and dryer unit. You can see here, this is a regular towel. This actually just got cleaned in here. This is three regular full-size towels and lots of clothes, and I would say it's can take probably double that easily and wash the unit there. So I don't have a problem with the size of it at all. But the wife does complain a little bit about throughput. She feels like because she can only do one load at a time, that she gets less done because you can't have a washer and dryer going. It's kind of a give and take. Obviously, you can set this and go away for 2 hours and come back. You can go shopping or whatever, and you don't have to be there after an hour to switch it. So that's the upside. But then the downside is that you do have to wait for that cycle to get done drying before you can put a new cycle in there for washing. So that's kind of I would say, a change in how you go about doing laundry. but in theory, you're kind of doing the same amount over a larger period of time. All right, and so if I were to look at the inside of this unit here, it's kind of the standard front load where you do have the rubber seal here. We have had a little bit of a problem with socks getting stuck here. And to be honest with you, this is our first front load washer. I've actually wanted to avoid them because I've seen how much mold and mildew problems they can have. This does actually fix about three-quarters or even more of that mold problem because it dries itself off every time it does a cycle. So you don't end up with a soaking wet seal. You can see a little bit, this actually just completed. There's a little bit of wetness right down on the bottom, but it is actually mostly dry. So the seal is way better. Now it is still there, a little protected microband in there, but one of the problems I've seen, and like I said, I guess this is probably common to all front loads, is there was a time when water was draining out of this unit and puddling here on the floor, and I naturally thought it was maybe the drain. I think this is a clean out here for the drain. So I started taking that apart and it was all fine and didn't clog up. And what I found out happened was one of the kids, they had stickers, and one of those stickers got stuck right here on the inside, just kind of where this lint is starting to build up here. And that's right where the seal was going, and it actually broke that seal. So it just happened to be the correct placement for the sticker that hopped on this front door, and it broke that seal, and the water as it swooshes by leaked out. So now we've made a note to make sure that this gets cleaned off and we watch out for stickers on it. I was a little surprised how sensitive it was to just a small regular sticker on there. Otherwise, for the unit itself, we've been very happy. We had no problems at all with durability of the seal or the basin, and all that has worked out well for us so far. So just to show you, the Smart Dispense Softener is here. Can take up to 32 ounces. And then the top one for the detergent, it can also take up to 50 ounces. And then you can have other softener, liquid bleach, and other one-time detergent or powder up here as well. All right, so one of the questions we get is how close can this be to the back wall? Now, we don't have it probably as far as it go, but this is about as close as I was getting comfortable. And that it puts it just about 3 3/4 from the wall. And that gives me plenty of room for the power there. And then over here, the water, I actually do have 90-degree angles on them, and they have those little pulse arresters, I forget what they're called, but to help with the sharp on and off cycling of the water. It gets rid of kind of the hammering or the knocking. So those help a little bit as well, but just a reference is about how close it gets. And then I gave ourselves some room to the sides on each side just for movement. But honestly, it doesn't move a whole lot, and that's because this thing is heavy. And that's something to note. If you are getting this installed and there's delivery, have them deliver it as close as possible. I think this thing weighs 350 pounds. So two large, strong men struggle, even with those moving straps, to get this thing in the house on the first floor. So do know if you're putting this upstairs or in a hard to carry place, you're going to have a lot of fun doing that. So I would have any kind of delivery people do that for you. So let me show you, this is the Smart HQ app from GE. So this covers all their GE appliances, including kitchen. Now we only have this GE washer dryer as a smart GE device, even though we do have other GE kitchen devices. They're not smart ones. So here you can see that it is currently off, meaning it's not running a cycle. And you can see some of my settings there, and I can change those here in the app. So if I were to change it to say more water, it would actually change that on here as well and show you, I don't know if you could see that on the camera, but that light instantly went on. This is connected via Wi-Fi. It is free, and I'm happy with that. There's no subscription or anything. I just turned it back off. There they go. The lights goes back off. I can turn on wrinkle care. You can also get alerts from the app itself when the wash is complete, when there's 5 minutes left, and whatnot, which can be helpful because you get a push alert to your phone. I do something with my smart home. I'll show you that in just a minute here. But here it also shows you your dispensing for your laundry and your softener, and if it's auto dosing, and if it's in good condition or a good level, or if it's low. And then here you can see our usage. So I wish it would show me longer, because I don't know exactly how many cycles that we've done total. But if you look at it, we do about one cycle a day. So one washing and drying cycle a day is our average. Now, if you look at it over the course of time, there are some days we don't do any laundry. And I say we, but really it's my wife does all of it. Thank you, wife. And then other days we have one, two, or even multiples for on like a Sunday there you can see. So we use it like a family would typically use a washer and dryer, I assume, all the time. So we've been very happy. We've not had any breakdowns or performance problems. I think there's maybe a software update we've done once or twice in the year, as it, the app will tell you there's a software available. We'll do it. You technically can do things like download cycles. I haven't really looked into them that much as far as like some fancy cycle, but there are actually some that you can download and customize. That seems like a little bit overkill for me. We typically want the things just to be washed and clean, but maybe if you're more particular with them, you can create some cycles there and run those. In the app itself, you can get help. You can get self-help with documentation here. You can schedule service as well as contact them. So that's kind of nice that it's all in there, built in together on the app for contact and service if you need it. All right, let me show you the little neat trick I do with my smart home to alert my wife or the family when the laundry is done. All right, so in my Home Assistant app, which is my smart home setup, I have a automation that's set up for when the laundry machine state changes from anything to finish, so meaning the cycle is complete, the drying cycle is complete. Then it triggers a automation to send a notification or text to our phones, but then it also plays a sound out.
Madam Leslie, dear, I would like to inform you that the garments in the washer machine are clean. They aren't exactly dry, but it's close enough after a quick shake.
So you can see here on the phone what the phrase. Now that's a phrase I made up, obviously trying to be a little bit of a funny guy for the wife, and it's because she mentioned, and rightly so, that the clothes are not fully dry in the end of the drying cycle. When you take them out, they do feel a little bit damp, but GE tells you to kind of shake them off and they dry off. And it is true for the most part that that does happen. You shake them, you kind of get used to it, and it just feels a little bit different than a regular dryer. That said, is if you do leave the clothes in that drying state with the door closed for a long time, like hours, then they are more wrinkled than a regular dryer would be. So that's probably one caveat, is you do want to make sure you take the clothes out of the dryer whenever it's done and get them hung up or dry. We do not iron our clothes though, and I'm typically not walking around with a wrinkled mess. So I guess credit to my wife for taking care of that stuff, but also that it is workable, but you have to kind of change a little bit how you do laundry. And a text notification or a alert like that in the house just helps remind whoever's doing laundry to go and take it out. All right, so hopefully this was helpful for you and it helps you make a decision here. Like I said, I am not buying or selling this device. I'm wanting to give you just my honest opinion of what I thought about it over a long time, as well as feedback from my wife on what she thinks. In the end, if I were to ask her, would she take this machine over a separate washer and dryer? Her answer is no. She would rather have the washer and dryer separate machines, but she does admit that she likes our new laundry room layout and the advantage of having just a single machine in here that takes up less space. So it is certainly a different machine than a lot of people in America would be used to. But if you can get over those quirks, then you might actually like it. And me personally, as an engineer, I think it's the right thing. And then also, it is kind of neat that it is more energy efficient. I didn't talk about that at the beginning, but it doesn't use gas and doesn't use the 240 volts. So it is actually a more efficient machine. Although I can't say that I even saw a real difference in our overall energy cost of our house. But truthfully, this machine is probably about rounding error for our overall consumption of gas and electric at our house. So I can't tell you if it really saves you money. Technically, they say it would, and it does take less power, but I can't give you any data that shows that for me specifically. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please do give me the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more. Also, ask any questions you have down in the comments below. I do try to answer those, and I'll give you my feedback even if it's been another year and you want to check in and see how it's doing.